Next, I saw Glass.
I really want to see this film. I'm going to try and get out this weekend, maybe, to see it.
So you got around to seeing Split eventually? Because I know when
No.
we just... Oh, you haven't seen Split yet?
I'm going to see Split before I go and see Glass, yeah.
Alright, so I think at this point I can say this, but
It's part of the trilogy. That's because the big spoiler for Split is that it is part of the Unbreakable Glass trilogy.
Yes,
you
that
can
was
say
the
that
twist.
because he's in the trailers and I know that he's in it.
Exactly. That was like the big twist of Split, which is why I think when
Yeah.
it came out, I listened back to my review recently because it's on YouTube now, and I was saying to you, like, you need to go see it before the twist is revealed because the twist will get revealed.
Yeah.
Because I know when I saw Split in the cinema, that twist happened, and Kat sort of turned to me and was like, I don't really get that. And I was like, oh, this is why that's amazing.
Yeah.
And then
yeah.
I don't think she either hadn't seen Unbreakable at the time or she'd forgotten that she'd seen it.
I saw Unbreakable when I was a kid. I saw it far too early.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't really understand what was happening and it spooked me a lot. But then I rewatched it and was like, oh, I really like this film. It's a really good film.
It's interesting.
It's not amazing, but it's like one of the like earliest superhero films that was...
Yeah, and the twist of that
like...
film is that it is a superhero film, which is interesting.
Yes, exactly, yeah.
So with Glass, obviously, picks up from Unbreakable and Split. I'll try and be vague if you're seeing it soon.
Yeah, please be vague.
Again, it was okay. The issues that I had... Unbreakable is obviously all about David Dunn, Bruce Willis's character.
Yep.
Split is all about Kevin Crumb, I think his name is, which is James McAvoy's character. So you would think Glass would have a primary focus on Samuel L. Jackson's character.
Mr. Glass, or whatever it is.
Elijah, I think his name is.
Yeah, that sounds right.
But it's not really.
No. I'm assuming, from what I've seen, is that it's going to be this weird, trying to focus on all three of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it comes down to, I think, it's a better idea than it is a film.
Yeah.
And so have you seen the trailer for Glass?
Yes, I have, yeah. It was probably a while ago. But
So there's a scene, and I think there's even a poster of this, where you have the three of them in front of, like, a psychiatrist.
Yes, and the room's, like, all pink, right?
Yeah.
Or something, and there,
exactly.
There is a poster, and it is in the trailer,
Yeah. I wanted much more of that sort of stuff. I don't think we got nearly enough of it. The ideas that they're exploring in that scene are really interesting to me, and I just wish that the film had kind of like really run with that idea instead of doing what it ended up doing. The twist in the film, because obviously there's a twist.
Yeah.
It's an M. Night Shyamalan.
Shyamalan?
Yeah. It's an M. Night Shyamalan film. Saying there's a twist is not a spoiler.
No. I'm waiting for the film where the twist is there is not a twist.
Exactly.
Because I think that's going to be his final film. Will be like something devastating happens and you're just sitting there and you're like in tears and you're like, it's okay, it's an M. Night Shyamalan film, so there'll be a twist and it'll all be alright. And then he'll appear on the screen and he'll just go, there's no fucking twist. That happened.
Credits.
And you're like,
I mean, that has just reminded me as well. So he does like to cast himself in his films.
yes, isn't he in like almost every... He's
I think so. He's
the driver in Signs and all that kind of shit. Yeah.
Like Hitchcock used to have a little cameo in all of his films, but it wouldn't be a dialogue cameo.
Yes, no, Shyamalan does give himself dialogue.
Yeah. And his scene in Glass is not good. I mean, Tarantino does this as well, right? And like Tarantino's scene in Django Unchained was awful. We're talking same levels of bad here, I think.
Oh, okay.
Well, I don't think he's doing as much of a terrible accent as Tarantino was doing, but it is. Oh, it's not a good scene.
Okay.
It's just really heavy-handed, and there were several different directions that this film could have gone in, and I just feel like they all would have been more interesting than the direction it did go in.
I mean, so the thing is, because it's Shyamalan, I'm not expecting it to be an amazing film, because
that's
other than like Unbreakable and Signs, which are like I think
Sixth
probably
Sense.
is two. Oh yeah, and Sixth Sense, obviously. Yeah. But like since then, I love the guy, but he hasn't done anything mind blowing.
No, so
all his stuff is very Shyamalan-y, and you're like, it's enjoyable. I'll watch it, but I don't like care.
Yeah, he is one of the few directors where I've actually seen pretty much all of his films. There's one film, that his first film, he doesn't want released, and someone has put it on YouTube. But I haven't watched it. Yeah, but I've seen all of his other films, and yeah, you're right. Like The Sixth Sense, Signs, Unbreakable, they are the best. it's weird because he had like really good films, but he's also had some like really terrible films.
He was The Happening, right?
The Happening, Lady in the Water.
I've never seen the Lady in the Water, but
yeah, The Last Airbender.
Oh yeah, well I'm not going to watch that.
And this one is quite divisive. It didn't work for me, but there's enough people that do like it that will defend it. The Village.
Oh yeah, I've seen The Village, and yeah, I can't remember if I loved it or not. I didn't hate it though, so maybe I'm just in the middle on it. Like, yeah, it's fine.
There's two. So he did The Visit that I actually didn't mind.
I don't think I've seen that one.
And he did After Earth.
Ooh, have I? Is that the Will Smith one?
Yeah, with his son Jaden Smith in it as well.
You know what? I don't think I've seen that one, and I don't know if I knew it was Shyamalan.
Yeah, it is.
So it's got a twist in it. Bloody hell! Turns out they're on Earth all along. Don't say anything because I'm pretty positive that probably is the twist, and I don't even know what the film's about, but I guess it's probably Earth.
Yeah. So back to Glass. I wanted more for Samuel L. Jackson to do in it. I just the film at times seems like it's going down these interesting paths and then doesn't and goes down other directions that aren't as good. The twist is terrible. M. Night Shyamalan's cameo is terrible. It's not great. It's not terrible. Like I maybe have really oversold how much I hated it there. It's just average. That's the problem.
Yeah.
And I had higher hopes because the other thing, if you've made a film like Unbreakable and then was it like 17 years later or 18 years later or something, you do Split, and then you're like, oh, now I'm doing Glass next. In my mind, I'm like, oh, you must have a really good story you want to tell here.
Yeah, that's been in the works for.
Yeah.
So the discussion I've heard is that the idea that Split is in the same universe as Unbreakable almost felt like an afterthought. The fact that it's just the surprise twist at the end. I've heard people be like, is it just that some exec or him himself went, you know what, if we make this part of Unbreakable, we can do a sequel.
Okay, so I read an interview with him that gave the production history behind this.
Yeah.
When he first wrote Unbreakable, he had James McAvoy's character in Unbreakable.
Oh, okay.
And the idea was Samuel L. Jackson's character, Mr. Glass, was essentially like manipulating that character, and that character was going to be like the big bad for Bruce Willis, David Dunn to fight. But he realised that it was too many characters. He couldn't quite make it work, so he cut that character. Later on, he wrote a film around that character and shot the film, and then took a really small crew, phoned up Bruce Willis, got Bruce Willis for a day, rented out one location, and just filmed like what is essentially the final scene in Split.
Yeah,
which links it. And what is interesting there is Split was made by a different studio than Unbreakable. So he showed them like the first cut and they went, we love it, but does this mean we've now made a sequel to a different company's film?
Yeah.
So to do Glass, they had to work out the legalities between those two studios.
Yeah, geez.
So it was not a studio decision, it was 100% like a...
It was him.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I feel like, yeah, like I said, if you're going to have that long of a gap, make sure you've got like a real good story you want to tell.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
and I just
and for there to be that gap between the first one and the second one, and then not a huge gap between the second and the third, like that's even more like
there should have been a better plan in place.
He almost could have left a longer gap here and gone, because then everyone would have been like, oh, cool, this trilogy is like playing out over however many years.
Because that's the other thing is between Unbreakable and Glass, that period of time that has passed in the real world has also passed in the film.
Oh, okay, cool.
So, and also what is quite interesting as well, I thought, is they used some unused footage from Unbreakable to do some flashbacks in Glass.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so I liked that. And they also bring back the same kid that played his son in Unbreakable.
Again, that's cool.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of cool stuff in it. It's just not as good a film as it should have been.
Exactly.
Bloody annoying.
So it's another 3 out of 5.
Yeah.
That's it for cinema reviews.
Okay.